We're going to do the Iran achievements in this video, Pesky Greek, Sands of Time, and Legacy of Cyrus the Great. For all of those we need land around us, so we'd have to attack the Axis allies and Comintern. So I'm going to go non-historical, being that I'm a bit of a coward. I tell everyone they can just do whatever, apart from Germany because I want there to be an Axis, and Mexico because sometimes they declare war on the US, and I'd rather they didn't. If Japan goes down one of the three non-historical paths, then they won't attack the US, so hopefully I don't have anything to do with them. A good thing about Japan is you know straight away if they're going to go non-historical or not. You check the focus tree and you can see what path they're going down. I made a short where I explained some of the tells of the majors. I'll link it in the description. I'd link it in the video, but I have no idea how to do that. We're going to go heavy into planes, so make sure you do these two focuses so that you get ticking air experience from the start. Then go down the political tree to flip fascist. You can set up your HQ in either Eastern Azerbaijan or Isfahan. I choose Azerbaijan, it's got a couple of mills there and there's nothing in the other. Don't bother doing any of the decisions you get here. After electronical mechanical engineering is research transport planes because we're going to take a holiday over to France, which is why we left Germany on historical. One military factory on transports. It'll take about 2 years to get 50, which is the minimum you need to do a power drop. But that's too slow for us. It'll take about 240 days to justify on Syria, which we'll do as soon as we flip fascist, so that's when we want the transport planes to be ready. France has disjointed government, so it's easy to cap them. But being that it's a non-historical game, after we take France, that's the end of what we know is going to happen. It's all up in the air now. I was suspecting this might go world conquest-y, and it does. So I did get a full collab on the US. The UK too. I know I'm going to have to attack them, but I'd rather have it set up in America and not need it than the other way around. If I can avoid having to go to California, that would be brilliant. You can get a load of spies for Iran through the focus tree. With France's manpower factory and resources, we're already a bit of a powerhouse, but we're keeping our eyes open for any more opportunities. I would have gone after Franco, as no one would guarantee nationalist Spain, but he never won. The Soviets have a civil war, and Hitler declares war on them. I think, yeah, I'll get involved in that. Then a couple of years later, Hitler declares on them again, and I think, yeah, I'll have some more, thanks. I can get some cores in the Caucasus. Manpower is just about the only issue we're going to face, so being able to call them and Turkey and Afghanistan and Iraq, that would be beneficial. I'll get involved in Germany's wars that I see could be beneficial and ignore the ones I want nothing to do with. I tried to wrap myself in a protective Soviet puppet, which I'd never call into war so nobody could attack me from the north. Looking around, by about 1940 there weren't really much up for grabs. The world tension was super high and things were getting guaranteed left, right and centre, so we'll just have to be a bit patient. Italy started their own faction with Spain, and Germany attacked them, and I was probably going to just ignore it, but then Peru joined, and I thought, yeah, a staging post in the New World would be pretty nice. I have the islands from France, but it'd be handy to have some on the mainland. The UK is the only major in the Allies, and they naval invade Italy, which is Germany's puppet at this point. So I think, yeah, enough patience. I better go in on the UK now. The UK was defending half the world, so that's where the troops must have been, because they definitely weren't where they needed them. I para-dropped the UK as India in a previous video, so I decided, as I had the French Navy in this run, that I'd naval invade, to mix it up a bit. I justified on Turkey to push them to join the Allies. As I had the full collab on the UK, I figured just set them off as a collab government, that removes them from the peace deal, that'll give me unlimited points to spend where I want. But as Germany had the higher war score, probably because they've been at war for 4 years at this point, they actually capitulated to them even though it was me doing all the hard work. So I couldn't set off the collab. But as long as the UK doesn't exist after the peace deal, I can set off the collab then. However, Hitler decided to argue with me over a couple of useless islands and they ended up going independent, so Churchill stayed around. Once the treaty with the UK expired, I pushed them into a war to get it done. The UK had a ton of their divisions in Turkey, so it was actually harder to fight in Turkey than in the UK. Not made easier by the fact that I released an independent Russia, because I'd seen in the focus tree they need to exist so you can do the focus so you can core them, but I didn't think when I released them that'll cut a load of divisions off on the Turkish front line. But oh well, there'll be a number of times in this video where I do something and then tell you not to do it, because it fucked me over. I prefer to have France and the UK as a puppet being a minor, because it means that I don't have to defend them, I just won't call them into any of my wars. So when I leave the Axis, Germany will be guarding that German-French border of its life, but all them troops there are just wasted. I'll wait until the war with the Allies is over before I attack Russia, though I noticed that it's got a random blob right in the middle of Siberia. Probably because I was arguing with Germany over every little scrap. I was just hoping that all the Russian lands in the Caucasus would be enough and I wouldn't have to go over there. And luckily that turned out to be right. So I get Turkey and those areas in Russia cored. And that's the short-term manpower problem is over. However, I want a huge army because I'm going to have to attack the world. So next time I'm at war, I'm going to go to scraping the barrel. I've got endless equipment and planes, I just want more people to use them. Iraq has a war goal on me. They've been sitting on it for years, being that we're both in the Axis, so they can't use it. But when I leave the faction, they will declare on me. So that's how we're going to do it. I'm going to use the fascist lack of loyalty against them. When Iraq declares on me, all the others will automatically join. Some of them will just ignore the call. So whoever answers it, I'll knock them out and I'll wait for the next one to say yes and do the same to them. But knowing that they're going to attack me, I can set up a couple of defensive lines in areas that I'd rather not lose or would be hard to retake. So I get some troops over at the Suez and Istanbul and then we leave. And Iraq declares on me. But I knew that was going to happen, so what? There's an army there. And I just walk straight in and kill them. The Japanese shogunate, they answered the call, but I knew they'd do that. So my navy and a couple of armies are over there in Thailand. And I naval invade and kill them. Just like the UK, wherever their troops were, it weren't the home islands. Then Italy declared on France, which wasn't the plan. However, I need to kill Italy and Hugo, and Germany is still ignoring the call to arms, so enough is enough now. Germany's still ignoring it, so I just directly justify on them. Then I send my naval invasions from the UK and kill them pretty instantly. Then Brazil's the only major left. I send like a whole army group over there. It's not needed, it's too much, it probably ruins supply and makes it worse. But I want my guys over in the New World, because when the Axis is gone, that's where my attention's gonna be. Pretty much the entirety of the Americas have joined a faction together, and the US have guaranteed a couple of nations that I want, so they're next for the chopping block. I make sure that I get all of Canada and Brazil. Truth be told, I should have probably done every bit of this sooner. The American faction, it's been led by Mexico, so they're obviously a major. The US is a major, and I think Chile and Argentina will become majors as well. So I've got half my army in Canada and half of it in South America. And none of the other countries in that faction are anything, apart from bad supply zones, which I'd rather not fight in. So I only cap the majors to get it out of the way. So with the death of the South American coalition, I managed to pick up them couple of countries at guaranteed, but there are a couple left. And they went smoothly enough, no one stuck their nose in, until Australia decided to rear their head. I guess they'd escaped every peace deal and were just about the only democracy left. And they guaranteed Afghanistan, which made Dyke to head over there. Luckily I'd taken New Zealand South Island, which made naval invading them easy enough. I did notice Australia and China were friendly though. They weren't in a faction together, but they did have good relations, so I was hoping China didn't fancy a go, and they didn't. So with the death of Australia, we got them achievements done.
But wait! There's more!
Not Iran specific ones, but just general. There's a turn in the whole world fascist, but I don't fancy that. And then there's the Welsh Dragon achievement, which I will have a go at. As we have all of the UK and Argentina, it's easy. We delete all the factories in Wales and release it as an independent nation. Then we release Welsh Argentina to play as, obviously without deleting the factories. Turns out those deletions weren't really necessary, because Wales only had about 5,000 manpower. I had about the same, but I'm going to flip fascist, so I can up my recruitable population in the focus tree and up my conscription laws. And Wales as a democracy can't do that, so they're stuck with that manpower. So I figure I won't bother either. I just get out a few 2-width divisions and I make one destroyer. I flip fascist, I ask Iran to join the faction, and you need to be able to join a faction to do this achievement. Or the way I'm advising it anyway. Just make sure it's not a faction that was started by a democracy, because even if you're not, you're still bound by the democratic rules, so no justifying on countries that haven't created world tension. I justify on Wales, and I launch my invasion from Bristol. They've got nothing, it's over. I guess I could try and reclaim Lloegr, but I'd really rather not. These are the division templates I used. And these are the plain designs. And this is the ridiculous amount of stuff that I had in the end.